Thank you all for being here this morning. First, I want to say thanks to the House of Representatives. It has been a joy working with them this year, and particularly on budget issues. And we think that we may be close to even passing the amended budget without a conference committee, which I don't recall that ever happening before. But that, I think, is a testament to the chairman of the House Appropriations and, of course, Senator Jack Hill being able to work together. And we look forward to that. And we think that is a good sign moving forward on not just this issue, but a number of issues. I know the House has begun their work on the Hope Scholarship, and we're very appreciative of that, and we believe that bill will be here soon, and the Senate will take it up immediately. We're not going to sit around and wait. We'll begin working on that legislation as quickly as possible. And I think one of the things we need to keep in mind, particularly as we look at changes to the Hope Scholarship, I mean, this is really the first time we've had structural changes to the program since it began. And we know that there are thousands of students sitting in high school classrooms today that are seniors trying to figure out where they're going to go to school. And we need to make sure that we let them know what the Hope Scholarship is going to be like next year. If we wait and put this thing off, some of our best and brightest may, in fact, decide they want to go outside the state because they're not real sure with what's going to happen with Hope. And we cannot afford to allow that to happen. So an enormous amount of work has been done on this legislation. There's still some work to be done on it, but there's no reason to wait. We need to move this bill and this legislation through as quickly as possible to give these students some certainty. And then I would like to talk about one more issue. As you know, back in the summer, we began a process of looking at how we strengthen Georgia's laws as it pertains to illegal immigration. This is a process that included both the House and the Senate, and the House is moving forward with Representative Ramsey's bill. We support that, and we appreciate the enormous amount of efforts that Representative Ramsey and the House has put into that. We have legislation on the Senate side, too, and ultimately what will probably happen is that you'll have a bill that contains a lot of different code sections, as Senate Bill 529 did a few years ago. Many of those ideas will come from the House. Some of those ideas will come from the Senate. We have a number of bills in the Senate that deal with this issue, and of course, one of the leading bills is by Senator Judson Hill, and he's here to join us today to talk about that and the process for just a moment.
Thank you. Good to see you all this morning. My legislation is Senate Bill 27, which basically deals with the public works arena and says that if you're using state taxpayer dollars to finish off public works, to build bridges and buildings and projects such as that we want to make sure that those people that are working on those projects paid with taxpayer dollars are here lawfully in the United States. It's that simple. It was Senate Bill 460 last year. It didn't make it through. I've introduced it once again. It's in the Judiciary Committee, and we're moving through that process. But I want to also recognize, like Senator Rogers did, Representative Matt Ramsey's good work over in the House. And it's important, I believe, that we just don't have a Senate version and a House version of an immigration bill, but we have a version that will pass out of both bodies and that we can claim a good victory on behalf of the people of the state. And so that's my goal and objective, and that's the objective of the Senate leadership as well.
All right. Any questions?
What are the key differences at this point between, I know the Senate bill, the Murphy bill has undergone some changes. Maybe more changes in the Ramsey bill, maybe not. But how do you see the key differences at this point between the Senate approach and the House approach as his bill stands at this point?
I haven't dug down deep into Senator Murphy's legislation. Just really been spending time on the provisions related to public works. So I'm most comfortable speaking about that. Senator Ramsey's bill, I understand some out of just press reports that it's more encompassing, and I'm not sure which version we're going to run with. And I've been told that the public works provision may be adopted into the House version as well, and I was told that Senator Murphy's looking at that. But Senator Rogers may have more background on some of the nuances of what they're attempting to do. You are aware of his background on the immigration legislation from a few years ago.
How have you changed or nuanced your bill since you first introduced it?
Excuse me?
How have you changed or nuanced your bill since you first introduced it?
I fundamentally have not changed it whatsoever. It basically says that if you're a contractor or subcontractor, or what is a term that's been kind of created, a subcontractor, which I'm not sure actually exists, but someone who's working for a subcontractor, that if those individuals are doing or performing or bidding on public works projects and get the bid awarded to them so that they're actually going to complete the project, then all through that chain, those employers have to verify that the people that they're employing are here lawfully in the United States and have to do so with an affidavit up the chain, eventually to the municipality or the county that they're doing the work for, the public, the government that they're engaging with to do those works. One of the provisions that I'm looking into and I like, frankly, is that there are many 1099 employees. They're actually not employees; they're 1099 contractors, and you may see some legislation separately on that in the coming days. And what I'd like to look at is bringing them into the fold, if you will. I may be a subcontractor and have a bunch of 1099 guys. I'd like to look at driver's licenses. Most states across this country actually verify the legality of an individual before they authorize giving them a driver's license. Some states don't. So I would say if you're from a state that you can get a driver's license by showing that you're here lawfully in the United States, then you should show that as a 1099 contractor. And we should go down deeper into the layers, verifying that, once again, we're using your dollars and my dollars, taxpayer dollars, to build these projects. And if we're doing so, we have a fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we're being the best steward of those tax dollars, making sure these people are here lawfully. Hiring people that need jobs out of the United States of America first. So that's a nuance that I've changed in there. There's also a provision in there called the IMAGE program. An IMAGE program is basically a program out of the United States government that actually gets into a further level of verification. It looks at the I-9 forms that individuals have to fill out when they seek employment. It also has random Social Security checks, which we all, if we're in jobs in this state, in this country, we have to go through that as well, and some of you may have that experience, as well as you also have to show that you're lawfully here in the United States. And the federal government does random audits of that. Cobb County government's looking into that, where I come from. Other counties across the state are as well. And I would applaud the IMAGE program. I think it's a good program that we need to continue to look at, especially in the public works arena. Ensure that our taxpayer dollars are used well.
What are the consequences for these contractors and subcontractors who don't comply with this law or who do hire illegals?
Good question. The consequences are this: if they don't submit the affidavit with their bid, then they're disqualified from being awarded the contract. Simple as that. If the public works, if the government is not complying, they'll get a first time effort. If, for instance, if the affidavit is not submitted or is improper or whatever, they haven't complied, and through a random audit that's found out, they have the right to cure. The city of, I'll pick on the city of Marietta, for example, whatever, city of Dublin, whatever. They have the right to cure. If they don't cure, then they will have then they're not able to participate in some other contracting. If they do this a second time, then they're subject to having 10% of their state funds withheld in the next fiscal year.
Let me just say one more quick thing about illegal immigration legislation. It really falls into three major categories, and I think what you've seen is not just with Representative Ramsey's bill or Senator Hill's bill or Senator Murphy's bill, but there's a broad spectrum of legislation that has been introduced that falls into these categories. One is employment, and I think Representative Ramsey's bill deals with that, Senator Hill's bill deals with that, and what are the tools that the state can use to make sure that we have a lawful workforce all across Georgia. The second part deals with what we would consider public benefits. I think that Representative Rice has a bill with that, making sure that that the state is not giving out taxpayer-supported public benefits to those persons who are not lawfully eligible to receive them. Post-secondary education clearly is one that is not just specified in state law, it's specified in federal law, even though some people seem to read that section and just skip over that word. And then the third part, of course, is when we look at our law enforcement / criminal justice system. So you see legislation dealing with employment, you see legislation dealing with benefits, and then you see a third section of legislation dealing with law enforcement. And I think almost every bill could be categorized into one of those areas, but some of the bills, like Representative Ramsey's bill, I believe touches all three of those areas. And that's kind of what Senate Bill 529 did a few years ago in establishing most of the law that we're working from now.
This question's regarding the Hope Fix. The plan kind of focuses on the spending, and it doesn't address the revenue side. Some senators have floated ideas of having some oversight of the Lottery Corporation, even raising the amount that the Hope program gets. Would the Senate consider those ideas? Are you in favor of those ideas?
Well, I think we will consider anything that helps put more dollars into education, the Lottery for Education Fund. And one thing I don't want us to get boxed in on is a percentage, because at the end of the day, we're looking for dollars, not a percentage, because a large percentage of a small pool it may not be better than a small percentage of a large pool. So at the end of the day, we need as many dollars put back into education as possible. So when you're looking at awarding bonuses to people who work for the Lottery Corporation, I think perhaps the best way to go about that is to tie that bonus to the amount of dollars that they put back into education, because in doing so, you incentivize not only more ticket sales, but the revenue created from those ticket sales to go into education.